Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Hello everybody, welcome to another great episode of Tough Talk Tuesday with the Heavy Bag Boxing team. I'm your host, Robert Alexander. Alongside me tonight, we have Lucas Biggers, we have James, and we have Shakira Armstrong with us tonight. Although she's not on camera, she will be soon. Guys, we got a lot to talk about this week. This is the after Canelo fight week. Of course, we always have a lot to talk about after Canelo fights. First thing I want to jump into or discuss right now, though, is just throwing a little attributes out there, guys. But they were in Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and they had about 73,000 fans in attendance that night. Lucas, is COVID over? And if so, thank God.
It is for the state of Texas, as far as they're concerned. It is starting to let up. It's great for boxing overall. Locally, I'm hearing a lot of dates popping up as well. I don't know about you guys, Rob and James there in LA, but some of the localer Promoters are actually starting to come back out, and we actually have a date of June 19th. Sadly, I'm going to be on vacation the same exact day. How lucky is that? As soon as boxing is reopened, I'm not even going to be in the state. But yeah, it does seem like COVID's coming back. Boxing's coming out of COVID. We're coming out the other side. So
it might in Texas, though. It might in Texas because they always have those little spurts where, you have a big event and, shit breaks loose. So hopefully we don't see that in Texas. That would be a great sign.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. Look, I thought it was a hell of a show, hell of an event. DAZN, my hat's off to you this time. You guys got it right. Still not much to say about that undercard, though.
That's just the way it is now with, Canelo fights.
So with that being said, let's just jump right into the action here, so to speak. So we all know Canelo earned a TKO victory on Saturday night. How do you guys feel about the fight overall? How it was going leading up to the TKO? There are a lot of fans out there, casual or whatnot, that seem to think that Billy Joe Saunders was actually winning the fight. James,
I think there was one person. There was one person who thought he was winning. His name is a young man. Funky hair. What is it? Chris Mannix, I think it is. Is that right? Sound right? Chris Mannix. He had him ahead. He's one of the announcers, anyway. He had him ahead, and I think he's the only person in the building. All 74,000 people or 3,000, whatever it was, had Canelo ahead. I assure you.
Now I'm seeing online. No, I'm seeing online. A lot of people were over there talking trash about Billy Joe Saunders because they said he quit while he was ahead.
No, he was probably down a few rounds. I had him after 6-2, a generous 6-2. That's off to Billy Joe Saunders, though, man. He fought a good fight. He did all right. He fought a guy who was stronger, faster, better overall, but was not ahead by any means.
I mean, he really didn't use any game plan that I would have thought of. I mean, he asked for the bigger ring, but he didn't really put it to much use.
I was expecting to see a guy who was a bit more elusive, kind of like when he fought David Lemieux.
That's how you beat Canelo.
More
that's how you beat Canelo. You don't beat him head-to-head. He likes to exchange, and he's actually good at evading on the inside, which is not easy to do. And, you don't go out to do this with him. You're not trying to go toe-to-toe. You're trying to outbox him, try to be slick. I mean, that's the way he fought Canelo is not usually the way he fights. So yeah. It did kind of take me back. I was expecting his style. And if he used his style, I at least would have been right in my prediction and we would have got a decision out of it. Instead, this is what we get, a stoppage.
Well, he didn't have that elusive style because, one, Canelo didn't chase him. He didn't go after him. He kind of stood his ground and let him come in, let Saunders come forward, which is how you score points. And, the rest is history. And I'm kind of glad. I think it's just a really, really good game plan to not go after him, not go headhunting early, not go, looking for that encounter, but just let Saunders come in. Just let him come in. And that's what I saw, and that's what I liked. It was a good game plan. That's just a good corner.
So let me point out some of the flaws that I saw, actually, because I agree with both of you. Now, James, you said you had Billy Joe winning 2 rounds. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You had him winning
I think
2?
I think it was 5-6. I can bring it up, but I'm pretty sure it was 5-6. And I thought one I was kind of generous on. And 5-6, 10-9s.
So curious to know with the other team members here. Lucas, how did you have it scored?
I gave him 2 rounds, but even that was being generous. I felt like I was kind of like trying to give it to him at that point, if that makes sense. Like you're almost looking for that extra round, and that's all you can give him. I mean, it was a Canelo show for sure.
Shakur, did you have it scored any different? I'm just wanting to know.
This really didn't even. I didn't get a chance to score it in that matter. But I didn't feel that BJ was ahead at any point, if that's what we want to say.
Yeah.
Pretty much it went the way most of us thought it was going to go. When Canelo got tired of toying with him, with BJ, he started closing in on him, and, that was it.
So I actually had him winning no rounds. I had Canelo dominating the fight with a shutout.
Wow.
I could see one round, but here's my issue, and this is why I wanted to point this out. Here's the flaws that I seen in Billy Joe Saunders that night. He wasn't throwing a lot of combinations at all. Okay, he was really leading with the jab, and that was it. There was nothing coming on top of that. He was just leading with the jab. When he did throw a couple of combinations, that's when he was able to get through. He just didn't simply throw them enough. Second issue is the dipping right to the side of Canelo for the uppercut. And that was happening all night. I don't understand at all why his corner didn't correct that. Because all he was doing was dipping. He was tailor-made for that uppercut. And Canelo landed it at least, I counted 3, maybe 4 times in the fight where Canelo landed that punch, just with not as much authority as he finally landed to end the fight. So that's another flaw. And when you talk about guys like Billy Joe Saunders being a champion, you still got to go back to the question on who has he fought and what experience does he bring in the ring. I really felt like he didn't have the necessary experience to be able to take on a fighter like Canelo. He didn't know what to expect in there. The game plan was definitely completely bad. I won't necessarily say it was off, but it was definitely the wrong game plan.
Anybody that's watched Canelo fight knows that's the wrong game plan.
Exactly. And it's obvious. So I'm really throwing BJ Saunders to the wolves here, guys. I don't know if he was as good as people thought he was.
I'm gonna throw his whole team. What coach is preparing him, telling him to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. I am far from a professional boxing coach. Far. But I think of the rest of this panel all as well, and we knew not to do this. Like, I want to talk to BJ Saunders and his team and be like, what did you see that we didn't? Because, it don't make sense to me. I was joining on too.
So we got.
For me, I just feel like it's not a situation where the focus should be on what Billy Joe Saunders did or didn't do. I think the focus should be on Canelo and his performance, because he's supposed to be the face of boxing. So for me, I feel like, well, did Billy Joe Saunders underperform more, or is it that Canelo really just made him look bad? I mean, this is what we need to be exploring.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I'm simply saying it's almost, he's the Floyd Mayweather now, right? So it's almost like a blueprint now that needs made for Canelo that people aren't really solving all that well. And what we've seen, what little bit we've seen, we know that comes from slick boxing, not head-to-head. Head-to-head never works out for who Canelo's facing. I don't care who it is. It's not worked out for him thus far. The slick boxing of Lara, the boxing of Trout, these are the things that have been, controlling range. That frustrates Canelo really, really hard. And, those are things that are easily picked out. But when you're talking about head-to-head, you automatically think Kirkland, people with their lights out. So why go into it like this? I don't understand. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it sounds like we're not talking about Canelo, but really it seems like Canelo is the thing that needs solved. So we're saying, BJ, what the hell were you thinking? But, yeah, I agree. I guess in some of that, I see what you're saying. So Canelo's being overlooked maybe. But we're already saying he's great, and everybody else has to kind of solve him. So
But you got to remember that you win these fights in the corner, and his game work was as good as his footwork and everything else. I mean, he didn't chase Saunders around the ring like I mentioned earlier. He beat Southpaw with the right hand, which is the way you do it. He had Saunders coming at him, didn't chase him around the ring. So just good gamesmanship there. I mean, they planned this. They planned the work and worked the plan, and they did it too.
He wasn't made to work for it. He didn't make him work for it. He just came.
That's Saunders' shortcoming. That's just Saunders. He's just not that strong. He's not as
But
fast.
You're also saying,
damn. There you go. He's just not that strong. So when the hell are we gonna see Canelo in there with someone that is equal in his strength and in his physical abilities? That's my question. Like, when are we going to see somebody like he did exactly what we all knew Canelo could do? Whenever he got tired of toying with him, he walked his ass down and punched him. And not only that, caused a lot of eye damage for BJ Saunders. So has anybody ever seen, have you guys seen an x-ray that looked like that of somebody's orbital bone and everything around it? Fractures like that?
I don't think I want to.
Are you saying Mexican meat is back? Is that what you're saying?
Hang on. We got
some comments, guys.
I'm not talking about drugs.
6'2" card was excessive.
The size. It's always the size.
Hey, Canelo's kind of a small dude still doing this, though.
Shakur.
Who is surprised that Canelo won? I'm not.
Nobody's surprised.
That's a great question. But guys, let me turn real quick.
All right.
Yeah, let me turn real quick to the comments on it. We got some comments from Rudy Gutierrez, one of our longtime
heavy bag
friends,
boxing OG.
Heavy bag boxing OG with Rudy over here. So you know what, guys? Rudy agrees kind of with me. He says 6'2" card was excessively generous, just to cater to the Canelo haters. And then he said, talking about BJ Saunders, he didn't even use the big ring. What was that a circus for if you wanted the bigger ring? And then he makes
a valid... Canelo allowed him to use that ring. Like, he thought he was going to go in there and be able to use that ring. I think Canelo, as James was saying, was using footwork and was very effective at not allowing him to do what BJ Saunders wanted to do, which is why we saw a BJ Saunders in his face. See,
you guys think that. I thought it was more BJ wasn't making him work it. He wasn't making him work for it. He wasn't moving enough.
Which is to Rudy's next point. The Canelo we all see right now is not the same Canelo that we seen with Trout or Lara. He has evolved and improved drastically. It's also not the same Canelo that we see with Mayweather.
That's yet to be seen, because he hasn't fought another guy like a Lara yet, and we thought this was going to be that, and it turned out not, because BJ was like, I'm just going to come at him for some ungodly reason.
Well, he wanted to show like that he wasn't scared of Canelo, and I didn't think he was going to stick with it all night, but I thought that was a good way to intro is like, hey, I ain't going to be scared of you all night. Like, I thought that was a great way to start. I just didn't realize he was going to keep this up the entire night. Like, he's a machismo and got that kind of strength against somebody like as dominant as Canelo is in there body wise. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but I think Canelo got so much better nowadays. As a former Canelo hater, I must admit, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I still think that he lost against Lara, that he lost against Triple G the first 2 times. The Trout gave him work, and but I think Canelo's been a way different fighter after Mayweather. He improved, he made some adjustments, and after that one fight, probably was the best thing that happened to him. Yeah, let's be honest. Mayweather got him when he was too green. He was a little bit too green for a seasoned veteran like May when they fought. Right now, let's also keep it real. Canelo has some helping hands on his way up. They built him up slowly and lovely, and they took care of him in the right way. Maybe like other fighters, couldn't get, but he has done his part as well, and he has improved ever since that Mayweather fight. With each fight, he's improved. He surprised me with the Cotto. Now I know it was beyond Cotto's weight limit and everything, but It was more about Canelo's performance more than the size advantage and all of this stuff. Now, yeah, Triple G gave him a lot. I think Triple G won the first one. The second one, Canelo got a little bit closer. Where I'm thinking that the third one he could stop Triple G, and he has so much better. And I think that at this weight class, he doesn't have to drain himself. Where his power is there, the speed. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen a lot of guys with that type of speed at 168. And honestly, at this point, I don't see nobody beating him. But I must admit, there's two names that think it could give Canelo a lot of work. And number one would be Beterbiev, and number two would be Benavidez.
Beterbiev's 175. I don't think he's going to go up to 175. But if he does, I'd love to see him fight Dimitri Bivol.
They will go for the fight. I think they can do like a catchweight or something. He fought Kovalev at 175.
Let's see.
It's just something that I heard, and that he wouldn't go to 175. But then there's been some talk that he would, and he will, and who knows. I'm just not counting on it.
So wait a minute. I agree with James there. Let's not put him at 175 yet, because there's some work to do right here at 160 and 168. And names that I would like to see him fight that I want to mention here, and this is alluding to the after fireworks of the fight right now. But you know what? I'm tired of the damn excuses. Fight Andre. He's a champion. Fight Andre. Not only do I want to see him against Andre, and I hate this, as much as I hate to say this, because this is where they're looking next, but you seen what he just did to exploit the flaws of BJ Saunders. He's really gonna exploit Caleb Plant. At this point, I don't see Caleb Plant having a shot in hell. Who does have a shot, who absolutely needs to fight him, is Charlo.
Right.
Charlo, that fight needs to be made, because to me, that fight, he could be in trouble.
As far as Andre, I don't think I can agree with you there. But let me read some comments here. We're getting backed up. Bon QQ, I'm not even sure how to say that. Current Canelo would whoop Mayweather. Mayweather ain't beating no. God damn, I can't talk tonight. No Kovalev or GGG. Pernell Whitaker, better defense boxer. Mayweather never fought a good black fighter with reach advantage. Then he asked, what about Bivol? Bivol versus Canelo would be a challenge. I definitely agree. I mean, that would be a boxing clinic for sure. I can see it possibly boring. Certain fans are expecting a war. Bivol may not be the most interesting fighter, but he's definitely a damn good boxer. Rudy Reynoso said if they unify, they're going after the Russian. I still want to see Canelo versus Charlo, Benavidez, and Plant. I mean, they're all good fights. Andre would be a good fight. Rudy has a question for you, Rob. What does Boo Boo has that Canelo wants?
No, I've seen that, and you know what, Rudy? That is a great question. He has a belt. And that's what Canelo is chasing. But not only does he have that belt, he has the style clash. He has the style clash to make it a great fight, to make it a challenging fight. Because I honestly believe people are going to get tired of seeing him dominate these guys that put out these lesser performances. Andre has not proven or not shown yet that he can put together a less performance than Canelo. I think he can compete. I think he compete at the highest level.
Rudy said not at 160 though. Look, I don't think Andre can win. One, he was not brought up enough already. Like, what's his next most competitive fight?
So that
Veins.
Let's jump into
That's
that.
Who I don't know.
Let's jump into that thing.
What I'm saying is the experience gap from the best person he's fought to Canelo is just too enormous. Okay. Why
won't he fight him? Why won't he fight him? None of the big guys will fight him. Why
because it's literally no reason. Okay.
You know why he won't fight him? Because his style is much like Lara, and he can win the fight. That's why he won't fight. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. It's Lara really, beat Canelo, in my opinion.
If it's like Lara, it's a poor man's Lara. It is not that
to
great.
You. According to you, it's a poor man. You only said it because Lara has names on his resume.
Bond continued. He said, "Why won't he fight him, Lucas? It's a lose-lose situation for Canelo. It's simple
because he'll
money
lose.
And a possible loss or a hard fight when you didn't have to."
I don't think so, Lucas, because it makes him an undisputed super middleweight title, which is something that Canelo at this point sees as very valuable.
Well, I agree with you.
It's an undisputed title because, and that's something that Floyd Mayweather doesn't even have. He thought he had a unified title, but later we figured out that, you know, he really hasn't had a unified division under his record. So this is something that Canelo really could possibly get. There's only one belt left for Canelo to get at that weight, and it's the one Andrade has. So that alone is enough to go after that title. But not just that, we can't really say what level Andrade is at because we haven't seen him, as you're saying, against opposition that is tougher. Look, but that is not his own making. It's not because Andrade has been sitting around like, oh, I don't want to fight this one or that one. Like, so I feel that he, at this point, has maintained his title, and he has asked for the big fights. So why not go ahead and give it to him?
Look,
I mean, what else are they going to do with him?
Let me rest my case on this. The man fight fucking Yildirim, for God's sake. Yildirim. Who has he fought?
That's exactly how most people are going to treat the Andrade fight. Even if he wins, does it really matter?
No,
we're already all expecting him to win. James, you've been kind of quiet. I want to see what you say.
No, I honestly, hoping that they can make that fight with Caleb Plant. It's a PBC fighter. There's going to be some issues there. I wouldn't mind seeing it simply because he can be crowned undisputed. Other than that, for me, it's Benavidez and Big Charlo. Big Charlo is a question because how do they fight? Do they fight at 160, 168? I think Canelo is going to stay at 168. I don't see him moving from there. From what I hear, he's going to stay at 168. So
there's no point in bringing up Andrade if he's at middleweight, is what you're saying.
Right. I don't see that fight happening either way, because he's just real downside for Canelo. There's nothing there. He's not fought anyone. He's not a big name.
Which you just mentioned dangerous for Canelo because if he goes up and he fights Canelo, Andrade, if he goes up and he fights Canelo, he doesn't even have to win. He just only has to look good. But the main thing is that if he makes Canelo look bad, that's worse. So that's a situation where I don't know if Canelo would want to jump on that. But he may just want to shut him up. Like he may just want to be like, you know what? Give me Andrade. Fuck it. I just want to, he gets on my nerves. He irritates me, and I just want to, screw him up.
Yeah, same thing with Billy Joe Saunders. Same thing with Billy Joe Saunders. Got on his nerves and ended up paying the price. But I think the outcome with Andrade would be the same. Be a knockout. I mean, if Andre had trouble with Liam Williams, he's not going to get by Canelo by any means. In fact, he's walking into a whooping.
Rudy continued in Mexican interviews. Canelo and Reynoso have repeatedly stated that they are staying at 168 and possibly 175.
So he's staying at 168, possibly 175. What does that mean?
It means he might go up for a grab. That's what it means.
Right.
That sounds a little schizo.
Let me tell you this though. A few points that I want to make real quick. Number one, if he does stay at 168, Charlo unifies the division at 160. You have a possibility of two unified champs fighting each other. That's the biggest draw to me. Is that Charlo Canelo fight, because that would be two unified champs going at it, possibly at the beginning of next year or end of this year. That's a huge fight. But then my other question is everybody sitting here throwing what Canelo wanted to say at the end of the end of the fight at the press conference to Andre, who have you fought? Who have you fought? Without everybody, put your phones down. Who has Caleb Plant fought? Damn it! Who? Put your phones down. Give me a name.
I done forgot some of his competition.
But that
doesn't mean that the talent isn't there, though. That's the thing. Right. And that's the problem that we have with people like Andrade as well. Like, just because you don't have the names under your record don't mean that the talent is not there to fuck somebody's day up. So we need to see these fights in order to know where people line up and what pecking order and ranking they are. And be damned what you see on his record. I don't like the fact that Canelo would even bring up the fact of who is he fought. You fought people that wasn't even in your weight class, really.
Thank you.
So I don't feel like he's in the standing to sit up there and try to pinpoint the fact that somebody else hasn't fought a lot of, prize fighter names.
Well, to answer your question, he's fought Caleb Truax last, but that really doesn't answer it because you said who. Right. You said who. Well, that's not exactly a who, but
exactly.
I gotta say, Caleb Plant's got the belt that Canelo wants, so he kind of brought this upon himself. Now, if he steps up and he defends that belt against Canelo, hats off to you, Caleb Plant. Let's get this done. If he doesn't, there's Benavidez in there.
Well, Benavidez is a good fight. He's ready. Caleb Plant has spoken out, and he said, "I am ready." This, in other words, I've been training this whole time, so you ain't gonna catch me, without me being trained this time.
Rudy says,
yeah, and then according to Eddie, go ahead. Well, I was saying Eddie Hearn is thinking that this could be pretty straightforward as far as the negotiations, but then that's kind of funny because Canelo is no longer tied to DAZN and Eddie Hearn and all that. That's got to be renewed. So there's kind of a twist there, but it could be done.
Yeah, I think it could be done too, as well as the fact that Caleb Plant is kind of out here too, where he needs a fight with Canelo as well. Like, who does he fight at super? That is going to be that type of money. That's going to be that type of hype behind it. I mean, this is the fight that he needs as well. So I don't see, and people can say Canelo don't need this fight, but I believe he does, because people are like sick of these opponents, as Rob said, that seem lackluster or not up for the level of prize fighting that Canelo has been positioned. So he cannot, sit there and say, "Oh, I don't want Caleb Plant," when that's the best thing. He has more snap than BJ Saunders, but he also is just as skilled as BJ Saunders, even though we didn't see BJ Saunders use that skill, which, that always poses questions for me. Why aren't you using the skill set that you're most known for and that you're most best at when you're fighting Canelo? It's kind of like Lucas, when you said Yildirim was kind of like going back up to the ropes,
That was Liam.
Yeah, when Liam was going back onto the ropes, you're like, why is he just moving himself back onto the ropes?
It just don't make sense.
So, BJ Saunders, why weren't you boxing when that's what you're known for?
The only thing I could think of is literally he was like, he's expecting me to box, I'm going to come right at him. But even then, that's a stupid response to me. But that's all I can come up with. Rudy says if they unified at 168 versus Plant, they will consider going to 175 after the Russian. Can't remember his name. He's talking about Beterbiev. Plant has the belt that he wants. True. Bond says Canelo ain't losing to a man named Plant. And then Rudy says, that's why I asked Rob, does Andrade something that Canelo wants? Nope, Plant does.
Nope. Listen.
And then Bond says, I really believe Benavidez would beat Canelo. And Rudy, before you go, for me, we're talking about Caleb Plant and Andrade. They're two very talented fighters that weren't given the experience and the time and attention that has been put into Canelo. Along with another name, Golovkin. Okay. honestly believe I think Golovkin could have been a bigger fighter than Canelo ever was. The only problem is he was not brought up that way. He was introduced into the States late in his career. He wasn't given steady opponents. I mean, no one wanted to fight Golovkin for a very long time. Certainly not no one with a name. And here Oscar De La Hoya is with all these hookups that have helped him get these names and this career going. Mosley is just a name, and then he got Centron, and he built from that. I honestly think that some of these guys, with given time, could end up being bigger than what they are, but just like Mayweather did to Canelo, he's going to knock them out before they get a chance to get to that point. So whether Andre was, he may have missed out a lot. Just kind of like what I was saying with Areola. It's like you see him with these skills that you're not used to seeing. It feels like we're almost getting robbed out of what some of these fighters could be. But go ahead, Javi. I'm sorry. Cut you off.
No, it's cool. I say it is like that. Let's be honest here. Canelo was, like I said earlier, he was brought up lovely. I'm not gonna say things was given to him, but yeah, he probably got the state. When he came to the opportunity, he got the best of him. And yeah, he built a bunch of names that were like out of his weight class and all these A-side advantages, but he has improved. Now, when people say that Boo is gonna give him problems, maybe, but then Boo hasn't done anything to cause people to say, well, I want to see that guy against Andrade. Let's be honest, outside the hardcore boxing fans, most boxing fans don't even know who Boo is. And that, and the guy is talented, and it sucks. But he also made a few decisions in his career that kind of put him at a disadvantage. And Caleb Plant, yes, he's looked like a blue prospect ship. So why not the matchup? But I think at this point, he's the one too green for Canelo. Canelo has improved so much. That would be a matchup for sure. Now, Charlo, just a year ago, I would think the big Charlo will best Canelo. Not anymore, man. Not from what I've seen from both guys in the last 12 months. Canelo just moving. He just, like I think I posted earlier, he just hit his peak years just now. So that means we have like around 3 to 5 years of the best Canelo we're going to see. And honestly, I don't think, I'm sure Charlo probably is in his peak years too, but the momentum is going towards Canelo's side right now. And he just, look, man, I didn't know he was going to do that with Liam Smith. I didn't know he was going to do that to Kovalev. This BJ Saunders, a lot of people say, well, he didn't have the plan. He wasn't moving. Well, guess what? Maybe Canelo messed up his game plan where BJ had to get out of his game plan, and he wasn't making his fight. It was Canelo making his fight and forcing BJ to have his fight or fight on his terms. You know what I'm saying? There were moments when BJ had his moments, but I'm saying is, for the most part, you see Canelo coming forward. Canelo cutting the ring, using that jab, that uppercut, man. The uppercut he kept throwing, which I think that's the one that he broke his eye with. Canelo threw that from the first round. So that means that Canelo's game plan was that, and he was executing it to the T.
That's because
he broke him down pretty well.
Yeah,
he broke him down pretty well.
So y'all made me lose my train of thought.
You wanted to talk about Charlo is the fight for Canelo long term. Like that's the buildup. That's the real buildup for the mega fight.
Yeah,
Charlo, if he can move up and catch Canelo before he moves up, because it seems like we're playing a game, guys. Ever since 154, with both guys, it's like every time it's time for the bigger Charlo Jamal to move up. Here we go with Canelo's moving up to a different weight class. Not just because I'm not going to say he's running for him, but I also feel that Canelo's body size does warrant that, he was never fighting in the correct weight class in the first place. So, he don't have no choice but to keep going up. Now, Charlo is not a small dude either. So at any point when it's time and the powers that be want him to move up, we know that Charlo can do that. But we have a situation again where people don't know exactly where Charlo falls, because the last competition he had was Darenchenko, who I think Darenchenko beat Triple G that night. A lot of people do. So fight. We got a situation where Charlo, he finished him early. So we know that he possibly is better than a Triple G at this point. And I think that has to do with age more than anything else. Like, Triple G is just slowing down some. But also it has to do with the fact that Charlo and them, I mean, look at the people they train with, they spar with all the time. Errol Spence. You got Lara in the same camps. They are getting like world-class sparring all the time. And that's why you saw Lara last week be able to go up and get someone out very quick. Because he's sparring people like...
Why aren't y'all still calling for that rematch? Why are y'all still not calling for that rematch? Why is everybody not mentioning Lara's name? He's still winning fights.
Well, he did just win. I think it was
I want to throw that.
What is it? A diamond belt, a diamond WBC belt. I think that's what it was. I'm not quite sure which WBC it was, but at any rate, he's getting there now at middleweight. But he's already spoken out.
He always been there.
No, but he's already spoken out that he never wanted to fight anybody that is really in his camp, like the Charlos. So they're going to be looking for other opponents for him.
I'm speaking of the rematch. I'm speaking of Lara versus Canelo too. Why is nobody calling for that fight? And I'm calling you out on that, Lucas. I'm calling you on that, Lucas, because
he's not moving to 168. Lara's not moving up.
He will for Canelo.
Yeah,
or they could do
basically
the
same as what James has just said. I mean, it's the weight for me. I don't even want to see Lara come up to 168. It's a really bad idea for Lara. I don't want to see that. And that's automatically going to negate the win anyway, as far as I'm concerned. And the same is for Golovkin. So those fights are done for me. That's why you don't hear me being like, I want Golovkin 3, because it's done for me. I'm done. I'm past that. I think it could be one split. It could be one in a draw for Golovkin, but I don't really see a fixed, for sure Canelo win for me. So as far as I'm concerned, Lara won one against him, and Golovkin won one, and they're not going to get another crack because that's boxing. Mayweather's got a couple fights like that too. I'm not gonna dwell on it because it'll eat me alive. So I'm just gonna pretend that shit never happened.
You think it eats you alive, Lucas?
I can only imagine.
How would you feel if Triple G, right? Just get in Triple G's mind.
It's got to be eating him up. And I'm gonna say something, and I can't say this without, in a way, offending some other people. So in no ways do I mean anyone is not a good fighter. I'm simply saying there's no one for Canelo at 168. There just isn't, okay? Now, I'm also going to call Canelo a cherry picker in this moment as well, because I honestly think he settled on 168 to unify for a reason. I think there's a little bit of green champions that he can easily kind of just snatch up. And again, it sounds offensive. I don't mean that, though. Canelo is just that master class that he can whip a champion at 168, and I really don't see anyone putting up much of a fight. I don't care if we're talking about Andrade or Plant or anyone. If I had to pick one, I would think that Plant would offer a better stylistic clash, but that is about it.
But is he underestimating? Is Canelo underestimating Caleb Plant by picking that particular 168 to get easy unified champion? Is he underestimating?
Because you're dismissing Benavidez at 168 too.
By picking,
it's hard for him to stay at 168. That's his problem.
Right,
but he's still there.
168 to do this. I think he's like, this is kind of a weak division. No different than Terrence Crawford. Look, I love Terrence Crawford too. He's amazing, but the division that he unified, come on, guys. Let's be honest. Not that impressive. Not
right.
Really.
So you're calling Canelo a divisional cherry picker. How dare you?
I mean, it sounds wrong.
Yeah, you know what? That's the feeling I had. I share that sentiment. I felt that way some time ago. I'm like, 168. Let's see. It's going to walk right through this. He can. I thought the real challenge was at 160 with Charlo. So we're going back. Sure. In that circular conversation with Charlo. But at 168, to answer your question, once again, Benavidez, And if it's not at 168, then he moves up to 175. And you got Zurdo Ramirez in there, and you got 2 other Russian killers in there. So it gets interesting. I don't see him doing that, though.
It's better for Canelo. It's better for Canelo to face a Benavidez at 168 than to go up and try to get him at a larger. I mean, Benavidez is huge. He's bigger than Canelo. So, like, I don't think that's a good idea for him to try to wait that fight out for a different, a bigger division.
He doesn't fight like a big guy, though.
It don't matter. It's like, how you gonna even knock somebody out that's his size at 175?
The same way he did Kovalev and Liam Smith.
Big torso. More room to punch.
Liam Smith was a big boy.
Right,
but you got to watch out for Benavidez as well. Now you got to watch out for somebody that's got just as much power as you do. So I don't think I think he should face Benavidez at 168, even though, I feel like that's a better target while he's like kind of maintained and have to drain himself too. He has to drain himself to get that 168. So that's a better strategy for Canelo if he is going to fight him at all. I really don't think that they are trying to fight him at all, though.
Not right now. I think he will eventually, but not right now.
Javi, you got a comment towards you. Bond says, why homie always use hand gestures when he talks? He threw up 300 gang signs with them hands.
Tell him that's what we Puerto Ricans do.
Rudy's talking about the YouTubers.
I didn't even know it, but I mean, when it comes to Canelo, who was this?
You get animated. This is Bon QQ. He's talking on YouTube.
Bon, I must admit, man, I'm a little passionate about this because I was a former Canelo hater. Now I'm a new improvised Canelo fan. So, when it comes to this, it's talking to like the past me and the new me with the head gestures.
Do you feel like Rob does now with the lower weight classes? Like, found a newfound respect.
Every time there's a good fight on the lower class, he keeps bringing. He went from 135 to 130. I think he's at 126 now.
Eventually, we'll get all the boxing in there. Eventually, we'll get it all. Let's see. He says Charlo sounds like a desert brand. Crawfish over Spence. I assume you mean Crawford. Rob, because he don't want that work from Lara. That's probably an old comment. Sorry, catching up here.
He don't want that work from Lara. You saying because you said why not have the rematch?
That's
with Canelo?
True. That's true.
He said
Canelo admitted.
He's just too big now. Canelo's too big. He done grown out of that.
Whatever.
It's a stretch for Lara to be at middleweight to me at 160.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. 154, 160.
Maybe
hires a death wish for him.
Maybe it's not a good idea, but it's very interesting though. Lara and Canelo Alvarez is really interesting. I don't see that it's going to get done, but I would love to see it as a rematch. Clean the slate because it's kind of tainted there. There was always this argument over who won. It was never quite settled. Mm-hmm. If they can make that happen, great. But it's kind of a fantasy.
Especially if they can shed
not
Canelo
like
down
we
to
got the catch weight king. Why come he can't catch weight for Lara?
Lara won that fight.
Yeah. Yeah. What would that be? Would that be Canelo weight?
Right.
Look, we were talking about jumping divisions. That's also what I wanted to bring up. Look, he was a 154 for I don't even know how long. Then he just changed to 155, right? That 160 didn't last hardly ever. And now we're 168. After he cherry picked a couple up and then came back down. So, yeah, I think he definitely
did it at the right time.
He did this for a reason. I mean, it was smart. But it's like we were talking about Javi. I mean, his team brought him up really well. I mean, they have maneuvered him to a point where he is where he is now.
But look at 154 now. Like he did it at the correct time because 154 now is one of the toughest divisions. They all fight each other. First of all, like nobody's trying to avoid anybody. They've been fighting each other, all last year and the year before. So like right after he moved up is when that division really started being real solid. The timing was impeccable on that.
Which division was that? 150, 154?
154, super welterweight. You know, that's where you got all the talents are like they fight each other for real.
That's super welterweight. I like to call it junior middle. I don't know why. When I hear super, it throws me off. I'm like this.
Yeah,
what?
Junior middleweight.
I like to call it junior middle. I don't do the supers. I don't know why. It goes junior.
You.
That's
Every
it.
time I order food, give me the super combo. So I'm gonna stick to the super.
All right, let's see. We got Bond still coming here. The size and reach and skill would be too much for Canelo. Talking about David Benavidez. And then he said Charlo versus Canelo could be an upset. Rob is right about Canelo. He need to fight the real 168 fighters.
Which are who? Which are the real ones?
That's true. I mean,
who's the real ones and who's the fake? I'm confused now.
It's just Caleb Plant and Benavidez.
Benavidez is in
to be considered not a real 168er. Like,
okay,
you could argue that.
So y'all got mad at me, but you didn't even say that Andre in that conversation.
Because he's still at middleweight. He's still at 160.
No, Boo Boo's at 168 now.
Yeah, he moved up. He moved up.
When? When he do that?
Last fight.
His
last fight.
And maybe that's why he was trying to make sure that he didn't look that, he looked vulnerable in that fight.
Listen,
I think that was by design, though.
Rudy says he. Oh, hang on.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
I didn't know that last fight was at 168. I missed that memo, but I still felt that he was looking vulnerable. I'm not saying that he was making up the vulnerable. I'm just saying that he looked a little vulnerable there, and I think it's just because he's trying to lure someone into fighting him.
Rudy said, "Man, Canelo can kill AJ." And people going to discredit him saying that he lost to that kid from Up. LOL. Talking about Andy Ruiz.
That is true, though. That is true. And listen,
hey, that did happen, though.
and before, another thing to add about Canelo is like, yeah, he had the helps, the best choices in the beginning of his career, a good promoter. Because let's be honest, Oscar babysitted him in the beginning. He was. I want to say he was handling everything to him, but he had the best choice. He has the first picks, basically.
It wasn't even just his promoter, just Oscar. The WBC was behind this man. Everybody has been behind Canelo from the jump. He is a very fortunate person. Let's put it that way.
And Lucas, you got to give credit to the fact that you have the opportunities, but the opportunities are nothing without being talented and disciplined and put in that hard work that that will take advantage of that. Because a lot look at Broner, for example. He has a lot of opportunities. You can't say that he didn't take advantage the way Canelo did.
Javi, I agree completely, but I'm also going to say for every one of those, we have a Guillermo Rigondeaux, somebody that doesn't even want to get put on TV, someone that never gets that backing. You have a Gabe Rosado who's thrown to like Alfredo Angulo like in the first 10 fights of his life. Like, he's not everybody's brought up the same, okay? And that's not really for them, and it's not really bad upon Canelo either. He doesn't help it. He can't help it. I mean, what is he going to do? Take the hard road on purpose? Like, no, you're going to end up with losses like that. And Canelo very well might have. But now it more feels that he's this super giant that even if he gets outboxed, he's still going to win, and that's the most annoying part about it.
That is.
You said it's annoying. I mean, for me, I'm always upset with Canelo because I really feel like he can beat all these people just about, almost. So it just pisses me off to see him like, kind of jumping around and diverting and doing all these maneuvers to not fight the best at this point. If you're the best, I need to see you fight the best.
All right, let's go all around. And just say who we want to see him fight next. Rob, start with you.
Next, or this is
Like
dream
very,
or possibility? Like possibility or dream?
Anybody.
Real life.
Real life.
I mean, not dead. Like,
Next,
like it could actually happen.
Next
Charlo.
fight.
Charlo.
Okay. Sakura?
I love Caleb Plant, and I think he can, show up a little flaw in Canelo. So I want to see Caleb Plant. and then I want to see Jermall Charlo.
Okay. Javi?
My first choice is, one of the Logan brothers, the Paul brothers. I don't know, the YouTubers. First choice. Second choice, I'm gonna go with Beterbiev.
Okay. James?
Oh, most definitely Caleb Plant, and I just want to see him, achieve his dream of undisputed. After that, there's a whole bunch of names that come to mind. But I really, really want to see him go against Caleb Plant. I think it'd be a good match. I don't think it'd be a tremendous matchup for Canelo. I think he's got all the dimension in the world to beat him, all the talent, speed, everything you need. But still, it could be a good match. It could be a decent matchup. Plant.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me wants to say Plant just to see him finish out the 168 thing. I think Beterbiev can at least hang with him as far as the power goes. But honestly, I want to see Bivol. I think that fight is the least able to be made, but that's what I want.
In his next fight, though, was the question. Next fight, right?
Yep. So Caleb Plant it is.
Look, you know what I gotta bring up?
Say what, Javi?
Bivol and Canelo, don't they fight in the zone?
They're both his own fighters. Yep.
Yeah, so it's possible. It's not like you know what I'm saying? Like,
possible, but I don't think the dollar bills are there for Bivol.
Not only that.
Bivol, it'll be his best payday that he's probably had. So for Bivol, it's a yes. I'm sure it's a hard yes. So if it doesn't get made, it's because of Team Canelo.
It's not only that. Canelo has already stated he doesn't want to fight a Lara again. He doesn't want to fight a technical fighter ever again in life. Exactly. He doesn't want to fight a guy that's going to be technical and maneuver around that ring the way that Lara can. Bivol is very technical. That fight doesn't benefit Canelo because it's not a winnable fight.
See, that's what I get upset because I'm like, well, you're the best boxer that's out right now professionally. So why are you saying there's a type of boxer that you don't want to engage with?
Because he's the best fighter. I don't necessarily think he's the best damn boxer.
But whatever, people are saying that he's the face of boxing right now and that he's the best boxer. So they got him on pound per pound number 2 right now with ESPN, right under Crawford.
Right.
I don't know
Who's
if I
number
can
one?
even justify. But my point is like, if you're this good, why are we hearing you say that there's a type of boxer that you don't want to engage with? You supposed to be a world champion, a multi-division champion. Why the hell are we talking about who you don't want to fight just because of their style? You supposed to be able to beat them regardless.
Well, that comes with the A-side shenanigans, you already know. And also the fact that,
But he can beat a Lara if he fought a Lara again. He could beat a Caleb Plant. I'm not saying I want him to. And I'm hoping that Caleb Plant will be like the best ever we've seen him. But I just don't understand why you're avoiding. This is what irritates me. This is why I can't never be completely on board with Canelo, because that type of statement. Can you imagine somebody from a different era that's a multi-division world champion talking about who they want to avoid because they don't like it?
Right. And Rudy wants to know, Rob, where you see that at?
See what?
Yeah, he said that he didn't want to fight a Lara type.
Has he ever fought since? No.
So you making up words? You don't even quoting people.
No, he said it. He said it after the Lara fight. He legitimately said it after the Lara fight. He said, I don't like these guys that run. I don't like these guys that run away from me. I never want to fight that style of fight. That doesn't benefit me. That doesn't help me. That doesn't showcase what I can. He basically did everything except calling a man a pussy. And he said he doesn't. And he said he doesn't want to. And he hasn't fought those fights since.
But he just went up against Billy Joe Saunders, who has been known to move around the ring a little bit.
He didn't. He didn't. He knew it was going to happen in that fight. He knew it was going to happen.
That kind of stuff is about make me feel like my eyebrow go up like suspicious when it's like Canelo says, I don't want to fight this style of boxing again. And then, you have somebody like BJ Saunders that's known for that type of style. And then he gets in the ring against Canelo, makes a bunch of money, and doesn't use his major asset. Why?
I don't get it.
I never heard anyone or Canelo mention that he didn't want to have, that kind of opponent.
He did. He said it after the Lara fight.
I think he was irritated at that time, but I thought that you were saying that he recently said that. So that's a big difference because he's grown a lot as a boxer. So he's making
that statement by not fighting those guys.
Well, you're right. Actions do speak louder than words. But you know what, Rob? Just so we can change, make it lighthearted for a minute, I do have some great news for you. How is it that Floyd Money Mayweather was able to steal the thunder a little bit last week from a Canelo bout? He totally was able to dominate the news, the social media, everything at the same time as the weigh-ins for Canelo. Please, somebody tell me, how does that work?
And this is a surprise to you? By the way, I love your background.
It was a surprise. I thought it was genius, but I'm just saying.
Every time.
I'm like, go ahead, Floyd. You still know you got it.
Every time Canelo makes some sort of announcement, you'll see Mayweather chime in.
Or
when Canelo said he's going to fight September 5th a year or two ago, all of a sudden Mayweather's coming out of retirement, and no, May 5th is his weekend.
Yeah.
Every time Canelo makes an announcement, this guy comes out of the woodwork. Did it again. No surprise.
That's how you know you're getting to his level.
That was what was crazy. Mayweather's was just a presser.
Yeah. That's how you know you're getting to his level. If you got a fight coming up and you see Mayweather all up in the news, you'd be like, man, I'm getting up there in the world, because it's either Pacquiao or Canelo. He don't be taking over just anybody's weekend, Only those two greats.
Every time Canelo says something, he's got to chime in with some new event or challenge that he's got coming up. This one was pretty hideous, gotta admit.
Yeah. So you asked me the question, I'm gonna answer it, and then I have another question for you at the end. But just to answer your question, and somebody in the comments, I think it was Rudy, made this statement earlier. I'm tired of the Canelo Mayweather comparisons. Let's stop. Canelo's no Mayweather. He lost to the man. That's it. It's Mayweather in the sport of boxing, period. Even over Canelo. So that's to answer your question. That's how he was able to take over the reins on that, because it's Mayweather on top of Canelo and anybody else in the sport of boxing, period.
Lucas, I've got to get you to chime in after that.
Hold on. My next question, Shakur, is what the hell is up with them hair implants? Is he trying to look like Planet of the Apes? He looks like Caesar. He looks like Caesar.
That's what that is. I didn't know that's what you're saying. That's what it is.
I thought he looked more like Teddy.
Well, obviously he wanted to have a sort of different look. I personally like babyface, smooth-skinned Mayweather. That's the look that I like. Bald-headed, all that. That's just, gorgeous to me. But I know I get tired of hairstyles. We all see how I switch up quick. So I'm assuming that you guys go through that sometimes too, where you just want to look different. So, I really don't see the big deal.
he just looked a little funny, that's all. We're not used to it. Now, Rob, you said to not compare Floyd with Canelo. Now, I'm not comparing like the fighters. I'm simply comparing at the level of which they're fighting, and I'm comparing the whole using the A side thing to their complete advantage. Let's not pretend like that's not the case with these two.
Canelo said he took that from Mayweather. Remember, you said after Mayweather fight,
okay, but that's what we're saying. Obviously, Canelo fights nothing like Mayweather. I'm not comparing those by any means.
No, people are comparing the dominance. They saying, well, if you have Mayweather just doing a presser and he's able to interrupt your fight week, like that says that Mayweather is still a bigger name to me. Now, this is my opinion. Mayweather still has the fans and the know-how to where he is still able to dominate the boxing world. Even if he's just doing an exhibition, like he's proved it. So, that's why I called it a treat for Rob, because we know how he feels about Mayweather. So
Mayweather over everybody.
Does it all the time.
Question though, guys, do you guys think that shit was rehearsed with the YouTuber?
Yes.
Here we go.
Not rehearsed, but all planned out.
Go.
Me and Sakura had a long talk about this, and I think I've got it narrowed down, okay? I think it was planned, most of it, but the hat pull was not, okay?
Right.
Because you look, like Sakura told me, you look at his hair, you know he did not want to see that damn hair on national TV, because he's a man of appearance, all right? He's a man with a Rolex and a big car and a big house. He don't want to come out looking like that. I wouldn't even want to come out looking like that. So
I mean, and it was the brother anyway. It wasn't even, if it had been rehearsed, we would want it to. We would think that it would be his opponent, not his brother that takes off the hat. Like,
yeah. So
I mean, I think everything else was rehearsed. They said what they were saying, but I don't think that the whole hat thing he was in on. Cause damn, I never seen Mayweather that fucking mad, except for when he got mad with his dad that one time on the 24/7. So I was like, ooh, this is not good.
No, but not only that, but Lucas right though. I mean, I don't think he wanted that look out there, especially nowadays where you got today's is the era of the meme. So any picture that you look funny, that shit's gonna live for years. And my man looked at like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you come home after a bit, you haven't get a haircut, you just grow your hair out and shit. He looked at like, I don't know. This is not a Mayweather, shaved up with a goatee, looking all fresh. It wasn't that, but I understand he's going through something with his hair or his beard or whatever.
They memed the hell out of him too.
I agree with both of you. Yeah, I think
they really did. They did.
Little rehearsed, but they got out of hand because at some point it's like, okay, you can fake the funk, but some shit looked like, okay, no, this guy is like, no, this is something is going on there. There's some type of altercation.
I really think that they're secretly still friends. It's going to be a sparring match. Don't get me wrong. It is not going to be any type of fight. But I think they're still friends. Afterwards, they probably gave a hat back, and he's like, oh, man, good. Yeah, it was good. It even had more height. But secretly, Floyd is pissed. He's like,
I think Floyd was feeling that. And then the only thing that I think wasn't rehearsed with his opponent is when he did apparently say something about Floyd's deceased baby mother. And, that ain't cool either. So I don't know how that's going to fly off either. So I don't know. Floyd is probably like, still Floyd is smiling because he's like, I stole the whole damn social media from Canelo on his fight week. So there's a little bit of like moment again for him on that level.
Oh man, yeah, it was bad. All right, let's switch from Mayweather now. I don't know if you guys have seen the workout video that Deontay Wilder has recently posted with new trainer Malik Scott. A lot of people are saying he's looking a lot better and are favoring him towards, off just this video apparently, to actually dethrone him and beat Fury. One, did you see it? Two, do you think the change of coaching is going to help him or not?
Is that the video where he's throwing the heavy rights and the guy looked like he's about to fly out the window?
Yeah.
I like Wilder just training in general. I'm glad to see him back in, training. That's the main thing.
99%.
Yeah, and I don't want to, predict off some sparring because they could just been working on just that right hand that day. Now, a lot of people are upset with, the fact that he chose to have Malik Scott as his trainer. But I've heard from some insiders that they believe that, Malik Scott really is a good person to train him, not just because of their personal relationship, but they think that Scott is a good teacher and has that mentoring type vibe about him that he's shown with other boxers. So I mean, I guess we're not gonna know. The proof is in the pudding when he gets in the ring again. And I do think that he's gonna need some type of tune up before he goes. Let's hope that he doesn't pull a Ronda Rousey and decide to go right back after Amanda Nunes or Holly Holm. Yeah, let's hope that it's not that, and he actually does do the tune-up situation. I can't say whether he gonna beat Fury again or not. I mean, beat Fury in this rematch or not, based off one video.
But that's a good point. And the videos, everyone always looks good hitting the mitts because it is rehearsed. But I did take a look at that video, and it doesn't look like he's doing anything different. No footwork there. He's got the heavy right. He's still dropping his guard. He throws a heavy right with his left hand coming down. All right, if you want to go at it that way, go for it. But you're leaving yourself open, and you're publicizing it.
Yes. They've made a conscious decision to focus. Maybe they've made a conscious decision to focus on his true strength and skill, which is setting up a right to hit someone and completely, have a devastating knockout. Maybe that's what they've decided. But I do think but it could be that particular day. You know how sparring is, James. It's like one day they're like, hey, we're going to work on the right today. The next day it's like, today it's all about jabs. Like, you just don't know what you're really seeing.
Yeah, but in real life, if you're working on that right and still, dropping the left or doing whatever you're doing, or you're not, using footwork properly, whatever it is, that's your weakness, and that's going to get exposed. Right. And you're only as strong as your weakness. So if he's got that heavy right, great, and it worked for him for a long time. But when he got up to the top versus cream of the crop,
and if it's something blatant that we all could kind of see, Ryan Garcia pulling out with his hands down, and he got caught. This was something that we were saying before it ever even happened against Luke Campbell. So if we can see it and they're not fixing it, then it is a glaring flaw that some coaches are not approaching correctly. Now, in no way I don't know how long he's been with Scott, so I can't speak upon him training him just yet. I'll give him a couple fights before I can criticize. But let's see. I kind of agree with Rudy. I mean, he says I didn't see any improvements, just slower. He doesn't need to improve his power, but rather his boxing and boxing IQ. You can't disagree there. It's really hard to look at him and not see, two left feet and him tripping and stumbling sometimes. His feet are very rarely set in place as they need to be. And a lot of power even stems from your feet. So the fact that he can land that kind of power and not even be set correctly is kind of miraculous. So imagine if he actually could set his feet correctly. I think he'd knock everybody out, Fury included.
It's
really.
That's a God-given power, though. That's a God-given natural power that you don't work out at the gym. You have it. And
the
one
equalizer.
thing about him, he throws a right hand straight, and he meets you at the end of the punch. So he doesn't really, take away from his punch. He times his distance, his range. I give it to him. But the fact that, I haven't seen the video you guys talking about, but if he's working with a new trainer and, dropping your hands, your defense, your head movement, those are things that you're supposed to work at the gym. So when it comes fight night, you little improvements. You're not going to improve one day to the other, but just to differ a little bit from your opinion, guys, more than seeing what kind of style he comes with, what kind of aggressiveness he comes with, and how he comes back, how he bounced back from this L, more than everything, I'm curious to see where he's mentally during, preparing for the fight and during the fight. And and hopefully whoever he fights next is gonna test that chin a little bit and test where he's at till he's fully there mentally back. Because he did a lot of funny movements after the loss to Fury and the excuses and the delusional shit. So that's what got my curiosity right now, where he's at mentally, and if he's still in the game, in the specific time where it's like, okay, the improvements are there, physically, mentally, emotionally, so that you can bounce back from this. Because let's be honest, most fighters that had this momentum that he had and they got it crushed, they never come back, and some do come back. So I want to see where he's at.
Yeah, I think he's mentally strong enough to come back from this. But like I said, I hope he don't be cocky how, Ronda Rousey was and didn't even want to tune up fight to kind of get back into the groove of things before going right back in there at a Fury. I don't think that's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Recipe for success. It's respected. Like Spence came back to fight Garcia. I even think he should have taken, a tune-up. But
but now everybody's suspense. Now, question: since we're on the subject, and you guys don't think that he should go back to Fury, if that's the case, who do you guys think he should go against? Like, what type of fighter, or even mention a name that could be like a good comeback fight for him?
I'm thinking Ruiz, man.
Ruiz. Okay.
That's a tough one. I'm not thinking Ruiz. I don't think that's in Ruiz's trajectory at the moment in the short term. Next opponent for Wilder, I haven't even given that much thought. We're talking about heavyweights here.
Bond says Jarrell Miller.
That's Jarrell Miller. That could be. There's a couple of guys out there, but
CJ Hooker says Wilder versus Ruiz as well. So
to answer your question, I just don't see Ruiz, but I'd like to see it. I don't see it happening.
Ruiz,
I'm drawing blanks
seems like he's trying to talk about fighting King Kong.
Luis.
What it was? Ortiz. Sorry. So he's thinking about fighting King Kong Ortiz. So I mean, that also is a stretch for me after seeing the performance against Areola as well. But I mean, these guys, they're trying to solidify, and at least they're not hiding from anyone. Maybe for Wilder, he can't take a prospect that's on the way up. That wouldn't be right for their career. Mm-hmm. So, he has to take someone that's already had losses and that is in the wheelhouse. I would actually, based on Areola's performance the other week, why not go in there with Areola for a 2? He's the only one that survived a KO from him. I mean, he's the only one that didn't get knocked out. So
yeah. Actually, in the last weekend, we saw a guy named Frank Sanchez, who's out of the same gym as Canelo with all the other cats.
Oh yes, Sanchez.
Frank Sanchez, who had a kind of a strange victory, because it was like I posted a little earlier on the conversation that we have, where someone pulled a red catch. Well, Frank Sanchez's opponent did the same thing. The punch missed his head, kind of wrapped his glove around the back of his head. I think the only part of his glove that made contact with him was his inner wrist. And the guy goes down and went down again and got back up and fell down and, did all of that. Fight was over. So we saw, another red catch there. But Frank Sanchez looked pretty good.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of not fair to put a Wilder, against a prospect that's trying to move up and develop their career still. So that's why I didn't want to see him fighting someone that's, trying to move up the ladder, as opposed to, fighting someone that's gonna give him some good work, but probably won't stop him from being able to have that rematch with Fury.
He's a Cuban fighter. Frank Sanchez is a Cuban fighter, so he's got a lot of rounds. He's a seasoned fighter, not from a professional standpoint, but he's been around for like 300 years or something, and so
that's that Cuban amateur stuff.
They've been around,
and they're really 10 years older than what they say. That's what they It's really 10 years older than whatever they say their age is.
I bring that up.
I think somebody was saying that he's listed as a 20-year-old in box rank. Listen, man, that man did not look like no fucking 20-year-old. I'm sorry. But
he got an old man face, huh, Javi?
Yeah, he does. And with the
that's
Cubans,
like Ortiz.
With the Cubans, whatever age they say, -10 right on the spot. But I'm gonna tell you guys something. Me personally, my own question, who I want to see Wilder, I wouldn't mind Dillian White. I think Dillian White is a live dog. He will give him some work, and I think he's been in desperately need of some opportunity too, because the WBC threw him for so many years on the side that I think why not let him throw him a bone? God damn it!
Yeah. He deserves it.
That's a good one.
But I don't know if that's the tune-up fight, though. I don't know if that's the type of tune-up fight you can't, after 2 years off that you want to have, because Dillian White he's a live one in there. You don't know what to expect.
Well, if you're
and I saw a lot of improvement with him too in his last fight.
All right, guys, let's talk Luis Nery versus Brandon Figueroa this weekend.
That's a solid matchup.
Yeah, both undefeated fighters.
I don't know who to choose in this one because Neri is badass. Neri is, but Figueroa, like he knows how to dig into your body and is real aggressive. So I think this is gonna make for a super matchup, and people are sleeping on that fight when they really shouldn't be. Because that's like a fight where I'm not. I mean, I know if I'm not able to really say definitively that Neri is going to retain that belt, then we got a real good fight coming up.
You know, James, you're our points leader, buddy. What do you think?
Okay, so I'm thinking Neri. Brandon's got a lot of macho in him, but you need defense to win fights. And Neri's coming at him with a lot of talent, and he's fiery. Neri's a great fighter, defensively, offensively. He's both ways.
Solid.
Brandon, I've seen him fight live. Stylistically, he looks pretty good. He throws a lot of punches, but kind of like his older brother Omar, leave himself open a lot.
No, so, there ain't nothing like the older brother from this 2 weeks ago. No, I'm telling you right now.
No, the style is different, but
Brandon,
the attitude, his attitude, where he just wanted to slug it out in the middle of the ring, which is what he's been doing. It's probably not going to work. It's probably not a good idea versus Neri. So I'm thinking Neri by knockout.
Well, perhaps he's always felt that he didn't need to not do it that way. That doesn't mean the skill isn't there when he finally gets to fight someone. We just have to wait and see.
There's 2 straps up for grabs here, so it's going to be a good bout, but I think Neri takes it.
Yeah. I just can't wait to see it. Javi, what about you?
I'm gonna go with Neri just because of experience. I think Neri, he has that advantage, experience. And Brandon, he's solid. That's a tough matchup. It's like a 60-40. But I'm gonna give the edge to Neri because he has the power, he has the experience, he has more professional rounds in the back, and I think he's seen he's have the toughest matchups up to date than Brandon, but. Brandon has a big chance to upset because I'm sure he's going to be the underdog. So I think he has a big chance to upset it, and not only that, but this is his big test. So if he upsets it and not only get the win, but the win in an impressive, let's say he impressed the audience and what we're expecting from him, I can only see good things coming from him. But he has to be impressive if he wins. I'm talking about stopping Neri or just outbox, I don't know, just make Neri look ordinary compared to him type thing.
Wow.
So you're saying Neri's going to win this bout?
Yeah. Decision though.
Okay. Decision.
Damn, because everything you said was leading up to you thought Brandon Figueroa was going to win. I'm like,
because I really think it's a 50-50 fight. I just gonna side with a Neri because of the experience. The power, and I think he has better competition that got him ready, a little more ready for this moment than Brandon has. You know what I'm saying? But Brandon has all the qualities to upset. So that's why this is the matchup that we like to see because you really, literally, you really don't know who's gonna win this fight. It's really like a 50-50 split.
We don't know it, but I think we know about what to expect. I think Brandon's going to be coming forward, obviously, and Neri's going to be trying to outbox him now. We can't really predict. Can Figueroa catch him and knock him out? Sure. But I'm kind of with, I think, everybody on this one. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Neri's the overall more solid fighter, and really he just has to game plan for Brandon coming in and his aggression. And I think Neri's going to be able to capitalize and counter quite often, and then start to make Figueroa doubting himself and throwing anything. And he'll start to fade towards the end, but I think Figueroa can hold out. So I'm expecting a decision. Not wide, but I would give it at least 4 points or so.
Damn, Lucas, that was very detailed prediction. I like it.
Thank you. I hope it comes true. I need the points. Guys,
this points ain't going good for me either, I don't think.
Yeah, I still need to post those, guys. Remind me, I'll get them on the site and our social media. Did anybody have any other final things they want to touch on in the show here pretty quickly?
Yeah, I need some prediction from Sakura, though.
Oh, she didn't narrow it down.
I told y'all, I'm like, I can't do it right now.
That's part of it. You got to.
The heat is on.
Why is she looking at me like that?
Hey, you got me fucked up. I don't got to do. I told you. I listen.
You got 3.
I'm on the fence.
You got 3 days.
I got 3 days. Thank you.
Saturday afternoon.
Give a woman some options. Just don't have it where I'm on a hard deadline, Lucas.
CJ Hooker says, if Figueroa has his sister in his corner to distract his opponent, he has a chance. She is gorgeous.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The whole family's gorgeous.
And a half.
The mom is gorgeous. The whole family looks good. I'm like, damn, how the hell? A whole family of gorgeous people. The damn dad is handsome.
All right.
I like him though.
She be working the corners too, so that's something nice to look at.
Nobody needs a ring card.
So on that same card, you have Daniel Roman. He's fighting Richard Espinoza, and Daniel Roman is on his way back up. So I hope to see him win decisively. So I'm thinking in that one, it's not something that we bet on here or part of the competition, but I'm saying Daniel Roman, hopefully by knockout.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going with Roman too.
And then also on the card there you have Xavier Martinez versus Abraham Montoya. Showtime. It could be definitely an underrated card and overlooked. So definitely check it out.
I'm going with Martinez on that one though.
Yeah,
Showtime. I like it.
Coming out.
Now what I wanted to talk about is the Zone card and UFC Fight Pass, because they both have ladies as main events this time. Heather Hardy on the UFC Fight Pass, and I forgot. Oh my God, it's a championship fight on the Zone. Yeah, but on the Zone, the champion, she's defending her title.
Terry Harper versus Hun Mui Choi.
Yes, so I'm glad that we're starting to see some of these promoters put up and stop the shenanigans and really start highlighting these females in sport. So I just want to send kudos to both of those promotional companies for doing that.
Which one do you expect to outshine the other for women's boxing this weekend?
Oh, Harper, definitely. Yeah. The Harper fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard that,
everybody? I mean, Heather, she's good, but Heather is like good to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like she's known more for her beauty than she is for that, for actually kicking ass. Even though she can kick ass depending on the opponent. But
there's that.
Yeah,
and that's what the sport needs. We need boxing's version of Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, that's true. So she provides that, and then it's some other female fights on that particular card too. Plus, we got Ty Tomlin, which he's one of my fan favorites from Tennessee. He's going to be on that card as well, but I don't think he's going to be televised this time. But he's definitely a kid that we should be watching out for. He just signed with Devella Entertainment.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you all on. Thank you all for watching. And always check us out again next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, it's all brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing. Go ahead and check us out, heavybagboxing.com. We'll see you